I mean, we often talk in politics about split screen moments. I mean, we talk about a lot. When you see basically the differences between the two candidates, say Donald Trump and Joe Biden, or whatever it may be. Well, today feels more like a triple screen. You can see it right there on your screen. Vice President Kamala Harris was in Indiana speaking to supporters today. President Biden is about to address the nation from the Oval Office in about 2 hours. And Donald Trump is about to hold his first rally since Biden quit the race. All of that is happening today. So, yeah, it's fair to say there's a lot going on, which is kind of an evergreen statement these days. We're hoping to get some excerpts from Biden's address, and if we do, we will bring those to you as soon as we have them. But as we're waiting for that, let's talk about what's happened over the last couple of days and what's happening moving forward. With just over 100 days until Election Day, Harris is running a very compressed campaign. Today in Indianapolis, she spoke before a historically black sorority where she went straight at the choice in this election.
Is a fight for the future. And ours is a fight for freedom. Across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on assault on hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights. The freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to live without fear of bigotry and hate, the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. These extremists want to take us back, but we are not going back. We are not going back.
We are not going back. I mean, she's only been on the trail for 2 days. She's hitting the ground running, I think it's fair to say. And I'm going to talk to a reporter traveling with Harris in just a few minutes. It's pretty clear this new 2024 race, just 4 days old again now, is in full swing already. Harris is the de facto Democratic nominee for president. She's currently in the process of vetting vice presidential candidates, and the DNC has given her a deadline of 2 weeks from today to make her a choice to ensure her ticket is on every state ballot, given those deadlines are coming up in just a couple of weeks. And as we look to the road ahead, it's important to understand that every candidate has a slightly different coalition. That's okay. Biden couldn't recreate the exact Obama coalition, and Harris's coalition isn't going to look exactly like Biden's from 2020. You know why? Her superpowers are different. Her challenges are going to be different, too. It's all about getting to 270 electoral votes. And today, the Harris campaign put out a memo on her path to victory and what it would look like. The memo makes a strong case about her ability to hold on to the key parts of the Biden-Harris coalition. With black voters, it says the vice president has a 44-point advantage compared with Trump. She also runs 21 points better than Trump with women and 25 points better with young voters. It also says that Team Harris, they think that they can expand the map beyond that. The memo says, quote, drawing the support of voters who have moved towards Democrats since the 2020 election. In many cases, these voters did not vote for the Biden-Harris ticket in 2020, but came out in support of Democrats in 2022, as Donald Trump's Republican Party grew more and more extreme. And adding, quote, about 7% of voters remain undecided in this race, and these voters are disproportionately black, Latino, and under 30, all groups that favor Harris, according to the memo. And expanding that coalition will be aided in part by her strength in talking about the Democratic bread and butter issue, women's rights. Harris is a very effective communicator on a lot of things, but on this particular issue, she makes it personal. She's able to draw a sharp contrast between Democrats and Republicans on reproductive freedom, and she keeps on doing it on the trail.
You know, when he was president, Donald Trump, former president, handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court, because he intended for them to overturn Roe v. Wade. The United States Supreme Court, previously the court of Thurgood and RBG. And as he intended, they did. Well, let me tell you something. When I am president of the United States, and when Congress passes a law to restore those freedoms, I will sign it into law. We are not playing around.
We're not playing around. The Harris campaign says that 76% of people have identified abortion rights as important in this election, including 69% of young people. So that's where the race sits today. with, again, just over 100 days left. We've got it all covered tonight in this unique and dramatic moment in American political history. Joining me to start this conversation and kick it all off are two people I know well, you know well. First is Cornell Belcher, Democratic pollster, and the other is Jennifer Palmieri, former White House communications director for Barack Obama. Okay, there's a lot to get to here. Cornell, let me start with you, because the memo they put out today, which I just outlined some key details of it, and I want to ask you about one of the first points, which is that this argument that the Vice President Harris could keep the Biden coalition. Talk to me a little bit about your take on that, and maybe about some areas where she has greater strengths and areas where she's going to have to work hard to maintain the Biden coalition.
Yeah, no, I think that's really a key here. And as she said, we're not playing around, which just keeps ringing in my ear. We're not playing around. No, I think if you look at what the Biden coalition is, it is a very diverse coalition, and it sort of builds on what the Obama coalition was, right? Which was taking advantage of that younger, more diverse electorate. Approximately 11% of our voters in 2008 were people who had not voted before, and they were disproportionately younger voters and disproportionately a very diverse group of voters. And Barack Obama does not win the presidency, and he doesn't win back-to-back majorities without that younger, more diverse cohort of voters. Without them, we have the 2004 electorate, and we lose, right? So we've been building on that, again, from 2008, 2012 into 2020, sort of building on that. I think it's really important here that she is a candidate, and we're seeing this in data, public data, but also in internal data right now, is that those younger, more diverse voters who were sitting on the sideline, who were not well positioned for mobilization, they are waking up. Yeah. And they are waking up again and moving towards Vice President Harris in a way that I quite frankly have not seen them this energized. Like they were energized in 2020, primarily because in opposition to Donald Trump. Right. But they had not been energized around, unfortunately, President Biden. So I think this is the opportunity sort of to bring in more of that younger, more diverse cohort. And where are we growing more diverse and younger, Jen? In the battleground states. Right. When you look at Georgia, when you look at Arizona, when you look at even North Carolina, which we talked about last night, right? It's growing diverse, and you have a younger cohort of voters and a better educated cohort of voters, making those places more competitive for Democrats.
No question. And that's such an interesting piece, because a good percentage of this 7% of undecided voters is under 30, is more diverse, and that is an area they're making the argument. But you see this in polls, to your point, Cornell, that she is really appealing. Now, I want to talk, Palmieri, with you about, look, everybody has a different coalition. Everybody has different superpowers. Nothing's a negative here, but there are areas where Joe Biden had one of his superpowers is appeal to older white voters. It doesn't mean she won't appeal to that group. She certainly can. But I wanted to ask you about how she should approach kind of keeping a hold of those voters, people who are key to the Biden coalition.
Well, I think that's also what they were talking about in the memo, where they talked about voters that turned out in 2022, that voted in midterms, that gave Democrats a huge win in the midterms, and how they wanting to get those back. And I think that, I saw our friend Sarah Longwell on in the last hour. Sarah is a former Republican. Sarah's built most of her career electing Republicans. And she said, 4 years ago, did I think I'd be supporting Kamala Harris? No. Am I psyched to do it now? Absolutely. And I think that that's just, they're just, you never know until the moment that something like this happens, how people are going to react. And, particularly also since I'm a veteran of Hillary Clinton's campaign and, wrote a book about that experience and advice coming off of that, but also just understanding better how electorates relate to female candidates. And I have to say, a 100-day race is kind of an ideal circumstance for electing a female candidate, in that when it's happened in other countries, it usually happens in a parliamentary system.
It's very British of us.
Primaries. It's very British. It's very Australian. Julia Gillard, the first prime minister of Australia. It is, part of the reason why I think it has been difficult structurally for women to be elected is that primaries are pretty bruising. They take a long time. It's hard for women to stand out in them. That's kind of the 2022 experience. We had 6 great women running, but none of them won a state. Or it's a very bruising process. And a woman in particular, because there's still a lot of, unconscious gender bias, certainly a lot of unconscious race and gender bias, both that the vice president has battled her whole career. And that comes, the candidate can come with a lot of baggage at the end of the process, right? And that's really what happened with Hillary. And so I think that this is a situation where she is presented to the American public as the consensus winner. On the Democratic side, the antithesis of Trump, the contrast of Trump, and someone who's really experienced and ready on day one, and 100 days to do this. And the way you see people rallying around her, I really believe in this. I think that it is sustainable. I don't think it's a sugar high. And it feels like a good circumstance for her. And it's also, I just know with the research, it's a good circumstance for a female candidate.